So yeah, today we are going to talk about Outlook Zen, and particularly like looking at Microsoft's tools to kind of automate and create a smart inbox for you guys. So it could be for yourself, for your team, or for the wider organization. So first of all, a quick intro. Today's flow. In fact, a bit of housekeeping before we go. So yeah, if you could keep yourself muted. And if you have any questions, then just add them to the chat, and then we'll probably answer those at the end. Sorry, my screen's still not quite right. So yeah, I'm going to just give you a quick introduction to Blue Llama and what we're all about at the beginning, and then I'm going to have a look at what a smart box is all about. And then I'm going to hand over to Anish for 10 minutes, and he's going to dig into a little bit more detail on what a smart inbox does, how the tools that are going to be involved in creating one, and then we're going to look at Rubis Channel Islands. So we've done a nice solution for them, their customer service team, and he's going to walk you through that. And then Anish is going to look at how we can take that solution, that smart inbox solution, and get it working for any organization. And then there'll be, at the end of the presentation, there'll be 10 minutes of questions and answers. So first of all, what is Blue Llama? So a little bit of an introduction to us. So we create AI-powered workflows that simplify your existing processes and save you time and money, empowering your team to achieve more. So what do we mean by that? So we take your existing processes. So we're not changing the inputs or the outputs of your processes. We're just taking the existing ones and kind of streamlining them, making them better, saving you time and saving you money. And the great output from that is that it's going to allow your team to concentrate on higher value work. So how do we go about achieving that outcome? So first of all, we will sit down with you and we will listen to what's going on. So we will sit down with the process owner. We will watch what they do. It's typically a screen share. We'll go through that process. We'll ask questions. Why do you do it this way? What would happen if you change this? Why do you use an email there rather than telephone? All those kind of questions to get a really good understanding of the process that you're undertaking. Then we sit down and we map out that process as it is. So that could be a process around invoicing. It could be a process around customer service, which we'll probably talk quite a lot about today. And then we will dissect that and determine what in there can be automated. So what can be streamlined? What are the areas? I mean, it might be the end-to-end process can be completely automated. There may just be sections of it that can do. And then what we do is we take low-code and no-code tools. So these are readily available tools. In particular, today we're looking at Microsoft Power Platform tools. And then we build out that automation using those tools and using generative AI, so the likes of ChatGPT, the likes of Claude and Gemini to build out those solutions. So that's what we normally do, but today we're looking in a specific problem around inboxes. So a lot of people or a lot of teams have these inboxes which are just overflowing. They're getting emails all the time, and it's kind of overwhelming. You can be slow to respond to these because of the amount that are coming in. Customer expectations is growing. They want responses really quickly. And if you're getting loads of emails coming in, it can take time to respond to those. The responses can be inconsistent. If it's an inbox dealt with by a team, there can be multiple people that are managing it at different times. And the responses may be different depending on that person that's looking into it. Requests are getting missed. So there might be an email that comes in. Just because there's other urgent stuff, it drops down to the bottom of the inbox and doesn't get dealt with. So what does this all mean? Well, a lot of time is being wasted on low value work. So people are managing stuff, they're sending the same responses time after time. Lots of low value work is being done. And that's not what we want. We want to use technology to empower those people to do more. So what can AI do with your email? So first of all, think of this as like a little bot sitting in your inbox, and every time an email comes in, it triggers. And what can it do? It can read that email and then understand the intent and the sentiment. And so what do I mean by that? When I talk about intent, it's like, yeah, what's the why is this person emailing? What do they want out of us? And the sentiment is around, how does that person feel? So are they angry with us? Has something wrong happened? Is this an urgent request? Are they really concerned? So AI can read that email and make sense of it. It can then categorize it. So is this email to do with customer service? Is it to do with accounting? Is it someone sending a CV to us looking for a job? And then it can prioritize as well. So knowing the sentiment, is this an urgent request because this person is quite upset with us? And is there identification in the text of that email that says this is something quite severe? Then we can take action. So the simplest actions is, yes, we know this is an email to do with an invoice, therefore I'll forward it on to the accounting department, the accounting email address. Is this to do with recruitment? I'll forward it on to HR. Or is this something to do with a simple request that we deal with quite a lot? I can look up into my knowledge base, talk about kind of what that is, but there'll be lots of information for the AI to access, and then it can respond to the customer based on that information. And then when it gets really quite exciting is we can trigger additional workflows. So say it was a CV from someone looking for a job, we could then access the recruitment system, see if they've applied before. We can extract information from their CV. Maybe the recruitment system needs their name, their email address, their date of birth or something like that. Can extract that from their CV, structure the information, and then place it into the recruitment system to be dealt with by someone who accesses that system. So there's lots of different types of sort of agentive AI that can be done based on the emails that come in, but that's kind of advanced stuff. But we will talk about that a little bit more. What tools are we using here? So obviously at the top of the tree, we've got Outlook. We can do automations for different types of email accounts, but today we're looking specifically at Microsoft stuff. So we've got Outlook right at the top of the tree. And then the two sort of powerhouse applications that we're using here is Power Automate, which is like a if then kind of do this scenario, what do they call it? Decision trees, kind of an automation platform. So you can bring in different systems, and if you get an email comes in, trigger this workflow that reads it, that does this, that puts this information in this place and links all your systems together. And that's kind of the workhorse, but then you've got the intelligence behind it, which is AI Foundry, which brings together different large language models. So the likes of ChatGPT in there, you've also got Claude in there as well. And that brings the real intelligence and the decision making. So yeah, that's what's going to read the email, understand it. That's what's going to then access your knowledge base and find the right information it needs to respond to an email. And then sitting under all that can be all your other systems. So there's just a few examples here. We've got Microsoft Teams. So that could be when an urgent email comes in, we identify it as being urgent. We identify that it's got to be dealt with by such and such a team. So we could send them a message saying, look, an urgent email's just dropped in. You need to get on this straight away. We've got SharePoint and OneDrive there, which can be used for that knowledge base. And Anish is going to go into a little bit more detail about all of these tools, but well, not most of these tools, but yeah, I can talk more about this kind of knowledge base. But this is where the PDF documents and the Word documents are that the bot needs to understand your products and services, or whatever it is that it needs to understand to be able to respond to these emails. And then the other thing, which is the more advanced kind of automations here, is it could be accessing your CRM, as I said, your HR systems, your accounting systems, and that's where it can access information from those, but also add information to them. So if an invoice arrives, it could check to see if the invoice has already been paid in your accounting system. If someone emails in, they say they're an existing customer, it could go to your CRM, it could look up their email address, bring back their customer number, and take action on that. So that's the basics. Anish is going to go into a lot more detail on things. So first of all, Anish is going to look at the tools in a little bit more detail and go through the kind of flows that we're looking for and these kind of these smart inbox automations. Then he's going to go through a demo. So we created a few months back for Rubis Channel Islands, based on Guernsey and the Jersey customer service team, some inbox automations for them. and he's going to explain those and how we went about doing that. And then he's going to look into how that solution, that smart inbox solution that we're using for different companies, can then be used, lifted and kind of used in any organization. So it could be used within your organization, and also look at the future possibilities as well in terms of that, this inbox automation can be the start. It can be quite a simple automation to begin with, but then the idea that it could grow to do quite exciting automations in the future. So thank you very much. That's me. I'll see you at the questions at the end. But yeah, just hand over to Anish now.
Perfect. Thanks, Phil, and nice to meet everybody. Quite excited to jump into this particular topic today. Yeah, as Phil mentioned, I'm Anish, AI and Automation Lead at Blue Llama, and I will jump into the first part of what Phil shared. I will go through. So I'm going to share my screen, and you should be able to see my screen, hopefully, with no technical issues. Give it a second to load. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, as Phil mentioned, I'm going to go into a bit more detail on the tools initially. And the reason I'll go into the tools first is because it will help provide a bit more context before giving the demo. There are there was what I call the core 4 components. So, you can use a smart inbox in many different ways. You can use it for your personal inbox. So let's say, for example, you're a sales rep for an organization, and you would like some assistance in following up with particular leads in a faster way. Smart inbox is a great use case for that. If it's a team-wide inbox, a shared inbox, again, smart inbox is great. And as Phil mentioned, agentic workflows, where it's actually processing emails and taking actions outside of the inbox, it can be used for that. But we start with the core 4 components that each piece of the puzzle comes together to enable the smart inbox to work really well. So I'll briefly go over these to explain exactly how they fit together. So as Phil mentioned, Outlook is the trigger. It's basically what feeds the automation, and we will need to ensure that the inbox is configured correctly in order for us to do the automation and for Smart Inbox to work. Power Automate, as also Phil mentioned, is a workflow engine. This listens for new emails, it runs the rules, it checks SharePoint, calls the AI, and triggers the reply. So the Power Automate would be absolutely essential for orchestrating the entire flow. Then there's the one other thing to mention: the cost is typically between 12 and 16 pound per user per month. And if you're going to use the Smart Inbox for an organization, you only need 1 license. So you wouldn't need a license for every single team. It's just 1 license to create the automation, and it can be used for any inbox in the organization. And then it says Azure AI Foundry. So this is the intelligence layer. This classifies the emails. It extracts the details to understand more information about maybe customers, account details, the sentiment of the email, and it also writes the replies. This is pay as you go, and it's pennies per email. So it's very, very cheap and scalable. And then the final one is SharePoint. So Phil did mention about SharePoint, but I'd like to go in a bit more depth around SharePoint and why it's so important to the Smart Inbox. So the way we've designed Smart Inbox is to be self-service, flexible, and customizable as much as possible for you. So any organization essentially could pick up this and configure the Smart Inbox for their use case, whether it's personal, team, or agentic. But SharePoint is the brain where you configure it. So it's anyone who's using Office 365 for an organization will be in some way or another familiar with SharePoint. And so what we've tried to do is keep it within the organization on how you would use SharePoint, but also be the control center or the brain for helping you understand how to ensure that the automation is working correctly. So once these 4 are in place, essentially for any organization, if they're just configuring SharePoint for the automation to do what they want it to do. And again, I'll share with you in more detail how that works. So here is the kind of flow that I'll share with you. It's a simplistic flow, high-level flow. So I have really simplified it because for any organization, it can get quite complex in the conditions and the decision flows that the AI needs to make. But hopefully, it will help you understand how we have built the Smart Inbox. So everything is orchestrated in Power Automate. So that's the key logo here. It begins with when an email arrives, so that's the trigger. And then we do some pre-checks. So within SharePoint, we can create a list that explains to the automation and the AI what kind of emails to ignore. So for example, there might be certain spam you do not want the AI and automation or smart inbox to process, or there might be important accounts, or there might be certain types of emails coming from the own company account you do not want to process. The next thing is then classifying the sentiment. That's done through AI. And then perhaps you want to understand certain aspects of an email on what account information is. So does it belong to a particular company? Does it belong to a particular island? Here we can use both SharePoint and AI to work together to understand information from the email on what this account is about. So you'll see an example with Rubis. One of the key points about the account details was what island does the particular customer belong to, so we know how to route the email to the correct person in the right island. So that's an important bit. So SharePoint has the information that passes it to the AI to understand, and then extracts the information to understand what island the inquiry is coming from. Then it comes into classifying the email. So this becomes the kind of the second stage that is most important. So every inbox will have a certain number of types of inquiry. So we call them categories. So for example, with Rubis, you'll see they have about 20 different kinds of categories of emails that come through. You might have more or less, but the information is held in SharePoint that is then passed to the AI to understand how to classify and categorize the email. So let's say we have category X, Y, and Z. Category X might be something that needs to be forwarded to another person from a different team. So the AI will understand the information from the SharePoint, categorize the email as category X. It will then draft a reply or send the reply automatically. And this is where SharePoint and AI work together here. And then it will route the email to the relevant person using the SharePoint as the routing matrix. Again, the demo will help you understand this in more detail. Category Y might be, we don't want it to be forwarded. We just want it to be replied and moved into a separate folder. That can also be done in the same workflow. And category Z might be something, for example, it might be an attachment that needs to be sent to Zero. Like, let's say, for example, there's a bill to be paid. The attachment is in the email. The AI understands this is a bill to be paid. It can then send a draft reply or send a reply and then put that particular attachment into Zero automatically. So I have definitely simplified this, but my objective here is to show you that the smart inbox, it's a very advanced form of intelligence, because it's making a series of decisions on any email that comes through, right from what it should ignore to which accounts it should prioritize, to which accounts it should know who to send, which emails it should know to send to which maybe island or team, or to even process emails and send them to different CRMs if required. So lots of decisions are being made in seconds. And the way we look at this is in 3 different categories. So what are the pre-checks before it gets processed? What are the categories for the AI to understand what to categorize the emails? And then what actions are need to be taken in this inbox? So now I'm going to dive into the Rubis case study. So how we're working with Rubis to supercharge their inbox with the AI and automation. So when Rubis came to us, there were some key challenges that they shared with us. So one of them was that there are peaks of 40 to 50 emails at once during certain periods of the year. So whether it's statements, when statements are sent, they get a whole bunch of emails coming in. How do I open? How do I understand the statement? Questions about the statement. Mail shot. So maybe there's a marketing campaign going on, and then a bunch of emails come through that way. Or month end, where there are questions, particularly around the account on the end of the month. So the challenge there was, okay, how do we engage in a quick and responsive way when many emails for many different queries are coming through at the same time? Another challenge was they were manually checking account numbers, customer type, which island that they belong to, repetitive queries, so statements, password resets, points, sponsorships, fuel orders. No quick way to know which emails should be answered instantly versus which needs more attention. So they were just going through every email, reading it, checking it. What do we do with this one? Do we spend more time? Do we not? And then obviously with this, there becomes a team overload with repetitive work, leaving less time for high value conversations with customers. So with those challenges, we kind of extracted, okay, what do you want to achieve with Smart Inbox? Well, one goal would definitely be to reduce the inbox overload, improve that speed and customer experience, maintain that level of consistency. So standardize those responses so that every customer is receiving higher quality responses, but in a consistent manner. Free up that staff time so that they can focus on more high value work. So these were the key goals when looking at trying to support Rubis with implementing the Smart Inbox and with the outcomes that they were trying to achieve. So before jumping into a demo, I just want to explain a few things specifically to Rubis's context on those 3 or 4 different aspects of the categorizations, the pre-checks, the routing logic, and how we handle those decision flows. So the first thing around the pre-checks is they had some key conditions that they wanted to ensure that the automation would ignore. So for example, their own domain name. So any emails that are coming from their domain, we shouldn't process. Priority account detection, so knowing which accounts should only be dealt with by the team members, and island identification. So we needed to ensure that the AI knew how to extract information to understand which island an account belonged to. This was possibly the most complex bit that I feel like the Smart Inbox really excels in. So the first thing is they have 20+ categories. So from BMS, so boiler maintenance services, fuel orders, points, accounts, email, password resets, a number of different categories of all different things. And it was very important to support the AI to understand what these categories first meant. And the second thing was then to understand how to reply. So where it became even more complex is that not only was important not just to give a generic reply, say, thank you very much, we understood you've shared this query, someone will deal with it. It was more about, okay, if a query comes from an individual category, let's say BMS, boiler maintenance services, if the person doesn't provide their account number, the AI needs to know how to reply. So, please, can you provide us your account number so that we can follow up? This saves the team time rather than them having to write that question. The AI will understand that. The second bit would be, let's say there are 2 or 3 different queries around boiler maintenance services. One could be it's broken down. The other could be we need a new boiler. The AI would need to know how to respond to those different queries around the same category. So this is something that might seem quite complicated, but when you see it in SharePoint, it's actually relatively easy from the client perspective or the user's perspective to update, add, and change. And then the other aspect is then the routing logic. So routing matrix based on the island and category. So if it's BMS and it's Jersey, then it should go to X person. And then the final thing is the outcomes and control. So auto reply, escalate to team, full audit log, and on and off control switch. So fully self-service system. So I'm going to now dive into a demonstration of how it works. So I will jump into SharePoint. So this is obviously a demo. So this is not Rubis's actual SharePoint. I'm working from a demonstration here. So all the data is dummy data, and the inbox is my own inbox, not obviously Rubis's inbox. So this is how it's set up. You can see the navigation menu here. The first thing is the control center. And this is simply turning the automation or the Smart Inbox on and off. So you can simply just double click it. And you can just say turn it on or off, very simple. The next thing is the ignored replies. So this is the first pre-check, what emails it should ignore. So for example, ignore Rubis internal. So then that will be the domain. If there's a subject, so a specific subject of an email that you want it to ignore, you can do that as well. Then there's the high priority accounts. So this will recognize it based on the email address once it loads. So this account should be ignored, and then you can turn that as active by switching it on. So this is the simple bit. This is the control and then the pre-checks. When it comes to the categories, here I'm just using 3, but they have a number of different categories here. I'm just going to focus on these active categories for the demo. So they have fuel orders, BMS queries, and sponsorship requests. So these are 3 queries I'll share with you today of how they work. One important factor is the description. So the AI will work with the description to understand if this is a BMS or if it's a fuel order. So by using the description, when it goes to the AI model within Power Automate, it will then know that it's a fuel order based on the description. And you can change this. So sometimes it might get it wrong. and you can improve that by updating the description. So you don't need to go into Power Automate or have any kind of technical knowledge on how to update it. You just update the description. So very, very simple to do. So once it's categorized the email, the next thing is to know how to respond. So this is where we go to reply templates. So if we take, for example, BMS queries, which is the one I'm going to provide a demo on, you can see the subcategory. You can also see that the folder, so one of the conditions or the requirements was to move a particular email into a folder in the inbox that belonged to that category. So if there's a BMS query, then move that email into the BMS folder. This is for the AI to understand, okay, is there a phrase like this, my boiler has broken down or my boiler doesn't work, and then how to respond. So here you can see the reply template. So you can see there are up to 4 different scenarios. So scenario 1 is request, customer has described a boiler breakdown issue and has provided either address or customer number, and then explains what the customer number will always begin with J or G and has 7 digits, X, Y, Z. And then this is the reply that is expected. So thank you for your email. We have received the details of your query and we'll pass this to the appropriate team and an agent will be in touch to go over the next steps. Here is where the customer said there's only a boiler breakdown issue with no detail and no customer number. And then this is the reply. So to assist you, please, could you provide your customer number? So once this is all set up, it's good to go. And then the AI will basically work with the information here to know how to respond. The last thing is the routing matrix. So here you can see for the BMS queries, if it categorizes it as BMS and it identifies that it's from Jersey, then it will know to send it to this email address. If it's from Guernsey, it will know to send it to this email address. So it will know which area to forward it to. And you can change it. So let's say, for example, this person here is either on leave or no longer in the company. You can just change the email address and it will then route it to that new person that you've added. So fully self-service and completely customizable. So let's go and do a demo. So I've got some information here I'm using for the example demo. I'm going to go into this email address account here. And I'm going to, so first I will show you the inbox. So this is the inbox, and you can see I have the folders here. So BMS, fuel orders, high priority accounts, and sponsorship requests. So my expectation here now, I'm going to send an email to this account with the subject line boiler not working with an account number. Without saying Jersey, the AI should know that this is a Jersey customer, and it should send it to the email address, which is the anish@unity.co.uk email address. So let's do that. So if I click send, that email will come through in a second. As it's processing whilst the email's being sent, I'm going to do another one, which is with no customer number, and you'll see how the reply is different just based on the reply templates we created with the 2 different scenarios. So one scenario being with the customer number, one being without the customer number, and what should happen. And if it doesn't have the customer number, the flow would be not to forward it to anybody, but just to keep it within the inbox and put it into the folder, the correct folder. So if I go in here and I click compose, and I put boiler breakdown, and then I use the email address here, and I click send. That will be sent there. And then if I go to the email here, you can see that the first email has come through, and it should just maybe process it in a second or 2, or a few seconds. Once that's processing, I'm just going to do another email, which is the sponsorship request. And we can I can explain to you what should happen here as well. So a sponsorship request is also another category that was set up to deal with. So that's something that comes into the inbox quite regularly. So if I now go into the inbox, I can see there is one email that has been processed and put into the correct folder. So this is the one not working with the J12345667. So this Jersey. If I click here, we can see there's an email already created, which is a draft. So hi, thank you for your email. We received the details of your query and we'll pass it to the appropriate team. An agent will be in touch to go over the next steps. And we can see it's been routed with the account number to the correct email address. So we can see the email address for Jersey is this email address, and we can see that it has been sent to the correct email address, and with some information provided to that person, so they can see the email and they can see the details as well. And we can see the second one has also been processed, but it will not have been forwarded. So you can see it's not been forwarded. So he says, hi, thank you for your email. To assist you, please could you provide your customer number? Once received, we'll pass this to the appropriate team and an agent will be in touch to go to the next step. So you can see the same category, BMS, it's been categorized correctly, put in the right folder, but two different replies. One got forwarded, as it should do, to the right person, whilst the other one is kept in the inbox because the information has not been provided for us to forward it to the correct person. So we don't know if it's Jersey or Guernsey. And we can see the sponsorship request has also been dealt with. So that's gone into the right folder. And this doesn't require an account number. So if we go into here and we can see the routing matrix, we can see sponsorships should be forwarded, but the island is not known because they're not a customer. But it should still be forwarded to this email address. So if we go back here, we can see, sorry, if I go to here, we can see the email has been forwarded to the correct email with the category, and it has the reply template based on what is added here in the reply template. So if we go to sponsorship requests, this is the reply template, and that's what the AI has used. So that's a simple demo to explain how the automation is working, but how easy and accessible it is for you to update, change as you wish via SharePoint. So there's no technical knowledge needed to utilize Smart Inbox when using it for your use case. The next thing I just want to walk you through before finishing up is the ease of putting it into any organization. So for us, what we've tried to build is a very lightweight solution that does supercharge your inbox in 3 very simple steps. So the first step would be to install. So the way we would install, very, very simple process, is to duplicate the SharePoint structure and then add it into any organization's SharePoint system sites, and then update the Power Automate flow. So update the Power Automate flow, it takes 2 simple steps. One is to change the emails inbox to the new inbox that needs to be added. And the second one is to change the SharePoint site and the lists. And once that's updated, we move on to the second step, which is to configure. So I'm going to show you a live demonstration on how to easily configure. But obviously for any use case, this could take a lot of time. So if you have 20, 25, 30 categories, that could take a lot of time. If you have 5 categories, it'll be a lot less time. But this is by far the most important step to make sure that the configuration is done correctly. And once testing is done, you simply go live, and then it will start reading the emails and processing them the way that you want. So I'm just going to give you a very short example on how this can be done. So I've literally duplicated the same structure for an estate agent demo. So let's say this is an estate agency that we have. We have a shared inbox and we want to process emails. So the first thing is we will go to the categories. And we'll add a category together to show you how it will process it. So I've done one here, evaluation request, but for this demo, we're going to go and do a new category, which is a viewing request. So if we click on add new item, and we have the viewing request here, and we're going to say it can respond. So you can say can and cannot respond, and that will also make a decision flow there. But we're going to put can respond. The subcategory is viewing request, and the description would be this. So this description will be used for the AI to understand. And then we can say, yes, it's active. So because we can choose it to be active or not, and then we can click save. And so for example, with Rubis, there's a number of them that are not being active because we're going through the reply templates one at a time to make sure that it does what it needs to do. So you don't have to go full bang with all the categories. You can phase that out over time. The next bit is the reply templates. So we'll just put a couple of reply templates here. So we'll add new. And we'll just add the title, so viewing request, subcategory viewing request, and then here is the folder. So if we want it to be processed into a folder, we can say, yep, put it into the viewing request folder. We'll add an inquiry phrase, which is I would like to view a property. And then here we can see the reply template. So we've got 2 scenarios. So one is customer wants to book a viewing and has provided the information that is required. And then scenario 2 is customer wants to book a viewing but has not provided the information. And then 2 different replies. So we'll pass this over because we have the information, we can book in a time. And the next one is we don't have the information we need in order to book a viewing. So These are the two scenarios. So I'm going to put that here. And then I'm going to say, yes, it's active, and then click save. And then the final thing is the routing matrix. So if there's a viewing request, I want it to be forwarded to a specific individual on the team, maybe an agent who can pick it up automatically and then book in that viewing. So here I've already done it. So the viewing request will go to my Blue Llama email address. So we're going to do this now very quickly and test it, see if it works. So I'm going to go into a different inbox. So it's not giving me the other inbox. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, just 1 second here.
There's just a question there from Al. So it says, presumably you can configure and add new categories and scenarios on the fly, building the system up as you go live. So yeah, I think we've just covered that one, haven't we? I think that question was from a few minutes back. But yeah, Anish is just showing you how that, yeah, it's completely flexible and you can add and remove things, turn them on and off. So yeah, we built it in a way that it can be, yeah, it can be configured completely, as long as you've got a Power Automate license. Well, no, actually, you don't. You need to do it in SharePoint, right? I suppose.
Well, well, you would need the Power Automate to have the automation set, but then we can basically configure it for any inbox from there.
Yeah. So
I'm going to do this quickly here. So viewing request is the folder I'm going to create. So you can see I'm literally configuring it on the fly right now. So I've added a new folder, I've added a new category, and now I'm going to send an email to a new inbox. So the inbox we did first was info for the Rubis demo, and this one I'm going to do inquiries for the estate agents. So if I click on here and then do inquiries, I'm going to do 2 emails, one viewing request with the details of the particular property. So if I just do that and then add this information and then send, and then I'm going to do another one, which is scenario 2. So viewing request without any information. And we should see those emails come in here. So the expectation would be that email comes here, and then the this one that's just come in, 12 Oakwood, it will be dealt and forwarded and put into the viewing request folder. And the second email will go into the viewing request, but only with a reply asking for more information. So we'll just give that a few seconds to process, and then it will do that. But again, the idea of this is a very simplistic demo, but the idea is to hopefully help you understand how easy it is just to lift this particular SharePoint structure, add as many categories as you want. Yes, it takes a little bit of time and investment into figuring out those use cases and doing the categories correctly. But once it's set up and it's live, it will essentially process those emails the way that you expect it to do. So again, it will take a few seconds to do it, but once it's done, it should just jump into the viewing request. We'll give it a second. Whilst that is processing, I can take another question.
I was just going to ask how does that work? Does it run every minute or every 2 minutes, or should it initiate every time an email drops in? Do we know?
It will initiate every time an email drops in, but because the flow is quite large in terms of processing, I think I can see what the issue here is. I think there is one issue with the folder structure. If I go into the estate agent and I go to apply templates. Yeah, okay, so this is really interesting, and it's great that I caught this on the demo. So if you noticed, it didn't move the email into the folder. It dealt with it correctly, but it didn't move it in there. And interestingly enough, for me to look, I just looked and see I didn't put a folder there. So if I go in here and add a folder, it will then process those into the folder. So it didn't have the folder there. So that's why it didn't process it. So if I just do that viewing request, and then it should be added. And yeah, so those that's the reason why I didn't process it into the email. But if we go into viewing request, you'll see the draft reply. Hi, thank you for your inquiry. To assist you, please provide the property address. And we can see here, hi, Helen, thank you for your inquiry. We have the information we need to arrange a viewing. An agent will contact you shortly to confirm the appointment and the next steps. And it's routed to the correct person to deal with that. So that's basically showing you how you can configure it on SharePoint. Obviously, you need to do the testing as they demonstrate it, because sometimes it won't work automatically, because you'll need to just check that everything is configured. But once it is, it will then process it the way that you hope it to do that. And yeah, that's it from me regarding the Smart Inbox demo. So very excited to get some questions and your thoughts and your feedback on it.
Just before we do that, can we just, if I can get my screen configuration right this time, let me see. Is that working now? Oh,
it's on the notes.
It's on the notes. Seriously. Okay. 1 sec. Really need to sort on my screen thing. Okay, if I just move this over here. So yeah, so just moving on. Is that? Oh man.
We can just see it on the screen here.
Yeah, you can see it there. Yeah, so just moving on from what Anish said there. So yeah, we can absolutely help you with this. It's a kind of a solution that we've created for others, but we've made it in a way that it's quite easy to roll out and can be used in various different scenarios. So there is what we can do is we can work with you to implement this, and then kind of let you guys take over, and that works quite nicely for personal inboxes and smaller team inboxes. And what that will involve would just be a little bit of implementation time and then some handover, and then you guys can kind of manage that. So there's a possibility there. That's our done with you scenario, so quite low cost. And what you'll have at the end of that is like a working smart inbox, and be empowered yourself to manage that. Or for the bigger customer service ones like the Rubis one, what we can do is we'll do all that kind of discovery work for you. We'll scope it out, we'll design the solution, we'll make sure you're happy with the solution, then we'll develop, test, and finally deploy it out to you. And we can deploy it in stages as well. So sometimes it would just draft emails rather than actually sending them, and until you're happy, then we can switch everything on. With that, you'll obviously have Microsoft governance and security. We understand all that kind of stuff, so we'll make sure that everything's working as it should be. And the great thing with that, so this is obviously a bit of a higher value project. So if you are based in Jersey, it can be eligible for the Jersey Productivity Grant, which kicks off. I think they're looking at the end of January to launch the 2026 Productivity Grant. So we will actually handhold you through that productivity grant application as well. And yeah, if you're successful, which a project like this is definitely around productivity, that's exactly what it is. So you should get 50% off. And the outcome from that will be, a really nice, robust smart inbox. And as Al was asking, like, it's the potential to grow that, add in new automations, and then once you're happy with that, there's the possibility then to look at kind of agentive stuff. When an email comes in, it can process it and do all sorts of initiate all sorts of other workflows. So yeah, that's those are the options. So if anyone's interested in that, then do drop us an email, and we can certainly do something with you, either to handhold you through implementation of it, or to really go through and do all the work ourselves, and then hand it over to you a real robust and full solution. So so just over to questions and answers now. So I think we had one from Al. Was it another question? So Al said, do you provide user documentation to be able to manage the solution after install? So we certainly can, can't we, Anish? It's like, yes. So as I said, like we've rolled this out to a couple of clients. So yeah, as we're kind of productizing, but we would absolutely do a handover session with you. We're there to support it. But in terms of documentation, we can certainly create something,
Yeah, so just to add to that, I think there's two forms of documentation we can provide. So written documentation that can be stored in the SharePoint, but also walkthrough videos, short walkthrough videos of each of the lists on how to use it, and kind of an overview walkthrough video in the context of the inbox and the teams that are using it. So very customized documentation. Yeah.
Okay. So Yvonne asked, do you integrate with systems that are not Microsoft, e.g. Zendesk Knowledge Base? So yeah, I think you're referring to there, like in terms of, so instead of SharePoint, could we use Zendesk? That would be a different type of solution, but we can certainly integrate with all sorts of different software. But it wouldn't be the same sort of product that what you're seeing today. So this is, I say product, yeah, this kind of solution that we've created that can be rolled out quite easily. But absolutely, we can integrate with any third-party software. These are Microsoft tools that we're using here. So Power Apps is Microsoft, Power Automate is Microsoft, and it integrates better natively with Microsoft stuff. But yes, we can integrate with your accounting system, with your knowledge base, your help desk system, all of those as well. But it would be slightly different solution. Another owl. Is that owl? Is that AI? The first one I can't. So Alistair says, you mentioned that the intelligence layer, Azure AI Foundry, use various LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, etc. If I understood correctly, are there ever concerns with where sensitive information is being sent and stored? Great question, and good answer. Yes, so this is one of the main reasons why we chose to do things in Microsoft. So before, we were creating automations in platforms like Zapier and Make.com and N8N. But the great thing with Microsoft is that AI Foundry is within your tenant. So the LLMs, and I think it is just, am I right? It's just ChatGPT and
Claude
at the moment.
On Azure AI Foundry, you can use any model.
Okay.
Yeah. The Copilot Studio uses only OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Claude. So that's the main distinction. But with the Azure AI Foundry, you can use any model, but it's still hosted within your own tenant. So it's not outside that.
So the data is never going to be sent outside of your Microsoft tenant. So really secure, and governance as well. Like, yeah, it's all audited and uses Microsoft's layers of security and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, good question. And yeah, one of the main reasons why we're using these solutions is because, yeah, a lot of people are concerned about data security. So Al's asked for something. Yvonne's responded. She'll send that through. And then Nadia asked, in a small company, can you have all staff emails and info at email all using the smart inbox? Anish, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so it is only to answer your question, yes, it can basically use any inbox, but it can only use one inbox per automation flow per SharePoint site. So you wouldn't have one SharePoint site for all of the different inboxes, and it really depends on the use case on how you're going to use it. So at present, we're only dealing with one inbox, one SharePoint site at a time. From a Power Automate perspective, it could only integrate with one inbox at present, unless with the Outlook you are feeding all of the personal emails into one shared inbox, which I don't know if that is entirely possible, but then it can work if you're connecting to that one inbox. So I think to answer that question better, it would be good to have a better understanding of the use case that you see. But at present, you would essentially have a staff inbox with one of their own SharePoint sites that they can update and change as they wish, and then a separate SharePoint site for another staff inbox, and they can update and change as they wish. Hopefully that answers your question.
Sounds good. Yeah. Any more questions out there? Anything? Oh, right, just a few thank yous. Anything else we want to add, Anish? I think we've...
Not really. No. All
Okay.
good on my side. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. So there will be a recording sent out to you either today or tomorrow. So if there's anything else that you want to look back over for the demonstration, then you can do that. If you do have any questions, then drop myself and Anish a message, it's phil@bluellama.co.uk or anish@bluellama.co.uk. And yeah, last one before Christmas, there'll be another webinar in January, probably the middle to late January. Not sure of the title yet, but that'll be out on Eventbrite soon. And yeah, thank you very much for joining, and have a great Christmas.
Phil, yeah, I will add two things before everyone leaves. You know, if what you saw today is still very new as a lightweight solution. So if you have feedback or thoughts on how we can make it better, or for a use case that you have, do let us know, because we're really open to feedback on how we can improve it. And the final thing is, for the next webinar, if you have any suggestions or thoughts on what you would like us to present, please do let us know, because it'll be great to hear it from the community as well. So that's the two things I just wanted to share, Phil.
Perfect. Nice one. Thanks, Anish. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Have yourself a great Christmas. Bye now. Bye.
Bye.